Hey everyone, John from Nintendo Live here, and out of nowhere on a random Tuesday, Nintendo have just announced a brand new Switch revision. And to discuss it, I'm not alone. Hey Alex Olney.
Hey John Cartwright, why did Nintendo do this to us? We just got the link in the chat and it was like, what?
We're all expecting the Switch Pro, and this isn't exactly what it is, as far as we know right now. I guess I'll just summarize the details. So what we have here is the Nintendo Switch OLED model. And for those who have maybe had a PlayStation Vita, you'll know that screen quality is beautiful. So this is $50 more than the regular Switch, and for that you get a Switch with a 7-inch screen. It's got a beautiful OLED display. It has an Ethernet port in the dock. It's double the storage internally, 64GB of storage internal. And there's a wide adjustable stand, which looks way better than what's on the regular Switch. So what we have here is not a Switch Pro, but more a fancier regular Switch. So what are your thoughts on that, Alex?
I was expecting a little bit more, to be honest, from the, oft-rumored Pro model, but at the same time, yeah, I mean, it just seems exactly what I would expect, to be honest, from such an incremental update. I wasn't expecting it to be this incremental, but for what, when they said, hey, it's the new OLED model, I was like, okay, I'm guessing this is going to be pretty much exactly the same then, and it is, although I have just noticed another difference, which I will mention in a moment. Actually, I'll just mention it now, shall I? Might as well. The game card slot is slightly different.
Oh, how's
it looks
that?
like it looks like maybe it's just a hinge rather than that weird, like, flexible plastic thingy. If you just look at the picture, it's not as rounded. It's a bit squarer.
Right, you're absolutely right, and for that reason alone, I'm in day one. My current Switch is a bit grufty at the moment. I've got a little bit of a scratch on the side of the bezel.
I've never heard that word before, grufty.
Well, grufty? It's a nice word.
It's a great word, don't get me wrong, I've just never heard it before.
It's a lovely word. But yeah, my current Switch, I've had it since launch day, and there's a bit of wear on it. So I've been anticipating a new Switch for a while now, and I am someone who plays in handheld quite a lot, so this looks like something I would definitely be getting. And I think my biggest problem with the current Switch is the bezel is just very unattractive, and I've wanted something a bit sleeker for a while, and this is meeting all my handheld requirements.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, if I play handheld mode, I play it on the Lite, because that's basically what I do with it. So I don't know whether I would, in theory... I'll be honest, I'm probably going to end up buying it just for work as much as anything. But if I wasn't, if I wasn't doing what I'm doing, I don't know if I would, because I spend so much time playing it almost entirely in TV mode, just because that's how I prefer to play. I occasionally use handheld mode or tabletop mode, which is the same thing, Nintendo. I probably wouldn't go for this, because it is so incremental, but at the same time, Nintendo's not offering it as the must-have new version of the Switch. They're saying, hey, it's a variation.
I suppose if you play docked only, the only real change you're getting is a built-in Ethernet port.
Yes.
And that's something that you can quite easily get past yourself just by getting a USB adapter. But I do like that not everyone's going to do that. So I like that they are making Ethernet way more accessible. That's great for games like Smash. Hopefully we get better connections with people just being plugged in rather than using wireless all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. You're still going to have to get people to have an Ethernet cable from their Switch to their router, sure. But still. It also, this new dock, it looks pretty much exactly the same as the old one. I mean, it's a bit rounded, but it is interchangeable. Nintendo have confirmed that it is interchangeable and the other way around as well. So the current Switch model will dock in the new dock, and the new Switch OLED model will dock in the old dock. Like, it's just completely interchangeable, which that is a really nice feature. I would have liked maybe a little bit extra new in the dock, but at the same time, I do think that intercompatibility is far more important.
Buying a new dock is quite expensive, and most of the time I'll just bring my dock around the house. I have no incentive to really buy another one. But now, if I buy this, I can have a dock in my office and a dock in the living room. So that's just a bit more convenient. My current Switch, I've already said it's a bit grufty at the moment. I've lost my kickstand. I don't know where it's gone. So on the back of my Switch, I just have this big hole where the kickstand was. And this new one, this is looking good. I like this kickstand.
It's a big chunky monkey, isn't it? I mean, it's just huge. It reminds me very much of like the Microsoft Surface kickstand. And that was hellishly reliable. I've got like a knockoff one, which, as in a knockoff Surface, which doesn't work anymore. I'm really annoyed about that. And it has the same sort of kickstand. And that thing is seriously hardy. So yeah, that is probably, I suppose in some ways, one of the biggest surprises. I don't know. I mean, I suppose they're really trying to push the whole tabletop angle, and you don't need a stand. Just, do this.
Yeah, this is the best way to play tabletop. I mean, the screen is bigger, the stand is not only much chunkier, but it's adjustable too, so you can have it at a bunch of different angles. So if you're playing games like, I don't know, like Super Mario Party or something, this seems like the ideal way to do that. So I'm pretty excited for this. I think everyone was kind of expecting the Pro, because it's been rumoured for so long. But if you just wanted a fancier Switch, I mean, this looks great, and I love it in white too. That white dock looks really sleek.
It does. It makes me, in some ways, it almost looks like those sort of slightly off-white, like leather purses that women carry around. And maybe some men. I'm not here to judge. So I'm not entirely sure. I'm so keen, but who knows? Maybe it's just the lighting and the photographs they've taken to make it look a little bit warmer or something. I don't know. I'd have to see it in person. But I do like, because it comes in black as well. You can get a black dock with the standard neon controllers. I'm still probably, when I get it, I'm going to go for the white one because it's different.
I think you said the key thing there about seeing it in person. Because it's very hard to sell a new screen over the internet. Because most of us are not looking at the screen through another OLED screen. We're looking at it through like a regular display. I think when there's going to be comparisons between the new Switch and the old Switch, that's when it's going to be evident. If you have a Vita, you have experienced this kind of screen before. And games like Persona 4 look absolutely stunning on that thing. Like, the colors just pop in a way that very few other displays do. And I'm just imagining playing Breath of the Wild and jumping off a plateau and just seeing, like, the vivid grass just coming out the screen with its vibrant colors. Like, it's gonna look great.
Yeah, my phone is that I've currently got is an OLED. And I'm completely used to it now. But occasionally I'll go back to my old phone for one reason or another, compatibility or whatever, and that's just a standard LED. And the difference is so stark. Like, OLED really is quite a fantastic little bit of technology. One thing that I think should also be worth pointing out is that all accessories that are currently available for the Switch will also work with this OLED one. Or they say the Joy-Con are the same. So, presumably things like little adapters and things like that. Any accessories that certainly Nintendo has officially licensed should work with this, which is a good thing. It'll be really interesting to open up these new Joy-Con and see if they are in fact the same. But they say it is, so I would assume it is.
Yeah, we can take their word on it for now. But maybe there'll be a few surprises on launch day. I mean, it's a bigger model, as in the screen's bigger. So maybe they've updated other things as well. It's probably unlikely. But I remember with like Xbox One S, they said there was no difference, and there was. So perhaps we'll get a few performance gains. I wouldn't put any bets on it though.
No, I think it's much more likely to be, just sort of the same performance. Maybe a few little things here and there, like maybe the stuttering that you saw when you would go into the Metro Kingdom in Super Mario Odyssey. Maybe that's not so bad now, but, again, it's all questions we don't know the answer to, and they are really selling this as not like a new, it's not like the Super Switch or anything like that. It is literally the same unit, it's just a different model that's available.
Actually, one thing I forgot to mention is there's enhanced audio, apparently.
Oh,
they focused on that quite a bit in the trailer. And again, that's something else that's hard to convey through media. Like, you've got to experience that yourself. I'm very curious about exactly what that means and how much better games are going to sound.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing maybe it's just the drivers are a little bit bigger or better, maybe. Maybe they've managed to streamline the internals so that it's even smaller now. And as a result, they've got more room or even just more cavity space, which will, potentially improve the sound, provided it's good cavity space. I'm not a sound engineer, which is probably becoming extremely apparent. I do believe you said that it is still a 720p screen. Is that right?
That's correct, yeah. So we know that 1080p 60fps is the max in docked, and 720p 60fps is the max undocked. So while it's an OLED display, we are not getting a resolution boost.
That is a bit of a shame, I think, but again, they're looking at parity, aren't they, at the end of the day?
Yeah, I'm sure battery life is also a concern, but yeah, it would have been nice to have a bit of a boost, but most of the time on this kind of screen, 720p does still scale pretty well. But there's just a few games out there, like even some first-party ones, like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Definitive Edition, they go below 720p at the moment, so it would have been nice to see those, just get ironed out a bit more.
Yeah, I do think that it would be nice if we could see a bit of a boost in there, but I'm not holding my breath. What is slightly interesting, though, is it's going to be ever so slightly heavier.
Oh, okay.
With the Joy-Con attached, the original Switch is 398 grams. The new one with Joy-Con attached is 420 grams.
I imagine the kickstand and the display probably have something to do with that, rather than it being something entirely new. This is quite different for Nintendo. How often do they sell a device on the screen? Like we have maybe like the Game Boy Light in Japan, which had like a backlit display, but they weren't like that. That was for having it being backlit. It wasn't like specifying this is a new display, but this is something like quite technical from them. We don't really get this very often. Yeah,
it's definitely an interesting direction. I imagine there's going to be some people maybe getting a little bit concerned, because OLED is a great technology, don't get me wrong, but certainly on games, burn-in is a real thing that I don't think it's quite as prevalent as people fear it is, but it is definitely always in the back of my mind whenever it comes to any technology that I have with OLED, which is why I don't have an OLED TV, because I don't want... it's a thing with like UI is a real problem, because it's the same pixels being on all the time, and that can cause a problem. Having said that, some games actually take this into consideration, and the HUD actually moves ever so slightly around and about in a way that you'd never know. But that's a game-by-game basis.
I don't recall that really being an issue with Vita, so maybe that's nothing to be too scared of. But
to be fair,
it's a good thing to mention.
People would have had to have played the Vita in order for burn-in to be a thing.
There are 10 of us out there.
No, I must admit, I still want a Vita. It just looks lovely. It's just,
It's a beautiful piece of gear, yeah. But, I mean, this is a pretty surprising revision. We all expected something bigger. Do you expect anything to come after this, then? Because right now we have the Switch Lite, we have the standard Switch, and now we have Switch OLED model. Do you think that's the end of Pro?
I don't think so. I don't think that... I think this is the Pro that has been rumored God knows how many times, and people have somehow got the wrong end of the stick, or maybe Nintendo themselves have been sort of like putting out false information to throw people off the scent. I don't know. But I don't think this is... Nintendo has got such a good thing going with Switch. I think more of a sort of a Pro or Super, or even a sort of a Switch 2 or something is almost inevitable at this point. But I do think it's going to be some time now before we see that.
We don't know how long Switch's life cycle is going to be. Multiple times they have said we're in the middle of the life cycle. So is it really going to be another, 4 years? I don't know exactly. But I guess down the line, I could see the OLED becoming the standard model, and maybe sort of phasing out the old one and keeping the light around, and then maybe gravitating towards the Pro. But I wouldn't linger on that right now. It feels like this is what we're going to have for a while, and I don't think the Pro's coming anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm thinking, if it does come, we're probably going to be looking at... And this is me just sort of plucking a number that feels right in my head. This isn't any kind of calculated thing or anything. I'm thinking 2 or 3 years, honestly. I don't think Nintendo would put out this kind of a revision and then do another one's, Having said that, Nintendo do what they like, so who knows?
It's going to be weird if the Pro comes along and doesn't have an OLED display. Which Switch do you get?
I imagine the Pro would come with an OLED, or at least Probably. I would hope so.
You would hope so. All right, Alex, when you get your hands on this Switch, what's going to be the first game that you want to see on this beautiful screen?
You know what? I think it's just because I saw its sequel in the trailer, but I think Splatoon is going to look gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Splatoon 2, you know what I mean.
Gorgeous. Yeah, it comes out the same day as Metroid Dread, so I'm sure a lot of us will be using it for that. But I don't know if that's going to be the game to properly showcase, how vibrant it can really be. I'm sure you're going to get some great colors on there, but something like Splatoon is going to really pop on the screen.
anything with a lovely bit of color, or just even a great deal of contrast. So, I mean,
Animal Crossing could look great.
Yeah, Animal Crossing. I was gonna say Breath of the Wild, and I realized Breath of the Wild is actually not super contrasty.
Not really.
No.
I guess not. Maybe Pikmin could be a really good one too.
Oh yeah. Anything with color and like good visuals, it's gonna pop. It's gonna pop like a mother.
Yeah, indeed. Pop like a mother. Well, I think we're both pretty eager to get our hands on this. It may not be everything everyone wanted it to be, but still, it's going to be a really nice luxury Switch, especially for those of us who play undocked a lot of the time. So, what do you guys think about the Nintendo Switch OLED edition, and are you going to buy it yourself? Let us know in the comments below, and of course, go to that subscribe button and give it a new display. And we'll see you next time. Bye everyone.
Luxury buy.